right, welcome all to Movement Yoga Flow. My name is Mark Cormier. I'm practicing with Kathy Cormier. Many of you know us. Let's see. Do this. And some lights on. All right, looks a little better. You ready to practice, Kath?
Ready.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Front and center. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How about you?
Yeah, see some reflections here. Hang on.
I think we're just alone right now.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get going. Let's start. Well, that's a good way to start too.
No, so I'm just stretching. I've been moving around, so it's kind of like I'm just settling.
Well, keep moving. That's
Settling and moving.
There you go. All right, so hands on hips. Let's just march it from side to side. Maybe give it a little kick. Maybe give it a big kick. Just waking up those legs. And from a march side to side, let's stay grounded through both feet as we rock it from side to side. Finding our center. Equal weight through both feet. Let's rock it front to back as we lift our heels, lift our toes. Notice how this connects you to your low belly, your center of balance. And then grounded through the toes, grounded through the heels as we rock it front to back. Finding our center. From here, making a choice, either keeping your feet nice and wide for a nice foundation. You could challenge that foundation as you narrow your stance, and that can change throughout the practice. From our feet, finding our legs, from our legs, finding our spine. Relax shoulders long through all sides of the neck with a soft tuck of the chin. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart, a light press of your thumb against your sternum as you line up each finger. And starting our practice, just watching as our breath flows in. And as our breath flows in. Starting to shape that breath as you lengthen your inhalation and lengthen your exhalation. As you breathe in, I'll invite you to bring the air to the top of your chest, the base of your belly, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. As you breathe out, I'll invite you to engage your core as you draw the low belly in and up, concurrently lifting the kidneys in and up, squeezing a little more air out. Most importantly, with that core engagement, providing structural support for your low back as you move through these shapes and sequences. It's been a little chilly and rainy here in San Francisco, so finding a heating breath, the Ujjayi breath, the victorious breath, slightly constricting the base of your throat, adding a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice this morning, letting the sound and feel of your breath be a focus for your practice, often compared to the sounds of the ocean as the waves wash in and out. Now taking the tip of your tongue to the hard palate just behind your teeth, keeping that connection throughout your practice, keeping your jaw relaxed and connecting front and back planes of your body. And finally, with your lips closed, adding a slight smile to your face, a Mona Lisa smile opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Lifting the chin tall through the crown, I'll invite you to roll your hands over as you bring your hands by your side. Sun Salutation A, a great way to start the day. We'll take it in 3 pieces, starting with arms and shoulders as we inhale the arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, hands by your side. 2 more times like this, breathing in, lifting up. Exhaling, hands back down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. I'll ask you to go side with us, Kathy. You might also grab those bricks and place them in front of you. we'll do 3 half sun salutations. I call the sequence the 3-3-3.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Very simple, easy morning routine.
Yay.
Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, finding a forward fold. Take a breath to arc the back. You might cap the knees. You might also grab those bricks. On the exhale, rounding the spine, you can catch the back of the shins or lower those bricks. On the inhale, leading with back heart, finding your neutral spine, arms out to the side and then overhead. Exhaling, standing tall. And let's do 2 more of those. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to arc the back. And then arching the spine, strong tuck of the chin. Inhaling, rising on up, back of the head in line with the sacrum. Exhaling, standing tall. And we have 1 more half sun sal. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. Exhaling, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to arc the back. And then arching the spine, strong tuck of the chin. Inhaling, finding your neutral spine, arms out to the side and then overhead. Exhaling, standing tall. All right, the last 3 of the 3-3-3. Sun Sal A, the first one without vinyasa. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to arc the back. And then arching the spine, strong tuck of the chin as you ground on down and finding your down dog as you step 1 foot back and then the other. As we hold this first down dog of this practice, I'll invite you to walk your dog as you bend 1 leg deeply than the other, grounding down to the opposite heel, and freely moving back and forth between the sides, just seeing how everything feels this morning. What feels tight? What feels right? What feels somewhere in between? From a place of movement, I'll invite you to move back towards relative stillness. Long arms, long legs, long spine, deep fold. And then on the tail end of your next breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift the tailbone just a little bit higher, finding just a little more space in the low back, and looking between the hands as you either walk or maybe take a jump to the front of your mat, yogi strokes. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. Hands can cap the knees. Again, you could also use bricks. On the exhale, folding again, strong tuck of the chin. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. Exhaling, standing tall. Second one, much like the first, this time I'll give you the vinyasa option if you choose. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Take a breath to arc the back. And then arching the spine, strong tuck of the chin as you ground down through the hands and either finding your down dog and holding or choosing to cycle through vinyasa. As you find yoga push-up, chaturanga. Inhaling into a back bend, be it cobra or up dog. Shoulder blades back and down, open heart, open throat, there you go. And then back over the toes, you could always use the knees as you find your down dog and hold. As we hold down dog, strong hands supporting those wrists. Drawing the energy up the arms into the shoulders, long through all sides of the neck as you look back towards your navel. Either holding down dog in stillness, seeing what arises, or again, feel free to add movement, stirring it up, seeing how your body feels. Your choice. It's your practice.
This is what you do every day, right? Something like this?
I do the 3-3-3 every morning. And I'll tell you a secret. I never do the push-up.
Oh, awesome.
I just hold the down dog.
Excellent.
Yeah, and walk it, stretch it out.
Good to know.
Yeah, just so you know. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Equally long, smooth breath out. Tail end of that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift your tailbone just a little bit higher. And then looking between the hands as you step or jump at front. Take a breath to create length, arcing the back. Arching the spine as you fold it. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. Hands over head pose. Exhaling, standing tall. All right, we've come to the last one, and this is why I don't do the push-up, and you'll see in a second. Inhaling, arms out to the side and then overhead. On the exhale, finding your forward fold. Inhaling, creating length as you arc the back. Now arching the spine, strong tuck of the chin as you fold, and now stepping one foot back and the other as you find a plank. Holding the plank for 6 long, slow breaths. That's it.
My plank's pretty good. I just couldn't tell.
Yeah, you're right in the frame.
It's more just if I was like up or down too much.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Looks really good. As we hold the shape, feeling that connection between head, hips, and heels. Shoulders super, super engaged. Despite the effort of the action, still finding an easeful quality to your breath. Long, smooth breaths in. Equally long, smooth breaths out. And I'm not counting your breaths, but at a certain point, on the tail end of your 6th breath, you'll draw the navel to spine as you lift the hips high, finding your down dog, and holding for another 6 breaths. And again, you can hold it in stillness, you can add movement. Just let it be your practice. What's your body want to do? As we hold down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to the base of your throat, coming back to that heating breath, that Ujjayi breath, listening and feeling as your breath flows in and out. Long, smooth breath in. Equally long, smooth breath out. Tail end of that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly as you lift the tailbone just a little bit higher. And then looking between the hands as you step or take that jump front. Take a breath to find length when you're right, arcing the back. Exhaling, arching the spine, strong tuck of the chin as you fold. Inhaling, riding the breath up, arms out to the side, and then overhead. On the exhale, standing tall. I'll ask you to face camera, Kathy. Let's bring hands to heart, adding an isometric engagement. Press those palms together, elbows wide, shoulders engaged, a tuck of the tail, tuck of the chin, connecting with the strength of your center. And then rolling the hands over, hands by your side. So let's do about 14 minutes. We went a little slow, we started a little late. Having said that, you could probably cut that to about 7 or 8 minutes. You can move faster, and it'd be a great way to start your day. And speaking to Kathy, speaking to everyone at home, it's like brushing your teeth. Get that spine warmed up. All right, let's do a little bit of joint work here. So let's bring hands on hips. Let's step the right foot front, ground down through the balls of the toes. We're going to circle the knee, the ankle, the knee, and the hip. And then taking those circles the other way. Now ground it down through that foot. We'll step out with the left set of toes. Ground it down through the balls of those toes. We'll circle the ankle, the knee, and the hip. And then taking those circles the other way. Now ground it down through that foot. Let's step the feet in. Let's connect the inner knees. Let's come down and cap our knees with our hands and circling our knees. And we can take those knee circles the other way, inviting in more prana, more flow. Now coming on up, let's separate the feet hip width apart. Hands find the back of the hips. You want to go sideways on this one? I think it'd be a little easier to see. So the fingers face down. Knees are a little bit soft. Let's go a little bit wider with the feet so we can get a little more vigorous here. Nice foundation. We start small, equal weight in both feet as we circle our hips. Now letting that circle get bigger as we start to shift the weight between the feet. Stretching out those hips. Now a bigger circle starts to get smaller as we move back towards center. Once you find your center, starting a small circle the other way, equal weight in both feet. And then gradually letting that circle get bigger as we shift the weight between the feet.
You're giving everyone a gift, your own practice. This is awesome. Getting to see what you do.
That's what I do. From that bigger circle, we're going to start to make it smaller. Yeah, it's all easy stuff. It just feels good. And back to center.
It's a lot of kind of stuff you can do when you're waiting.
Absolutely. So keeping hands on hips, No, not keeping hands on. We're going to pretend we have an extra set of hands on our hips, keeping our hips relatively stable as we find a hand on each shoulder. Starting just with the shoulders, we'll circle, keeping the ribs still, keeping the hips still.
That's so hard.
It's hard. Now we're going to add the ribs to the circle, but keep the hips still. And if you're feeling balanced this morning, you can add a little swing of the neck, a little sway of the head. Or your upper body.
It's so hard to keep the hips still.
Yeah, if they move a little bit, it's all good. From a bigger circle, we'll start to circle it back in. Once you find your center, we'll start small, just the shoulders the other way. And then adding the ribs. Try to keep the hips still. And if you're balanced, you can add a swing of the neck, a sway of the head. Inviting in more flow.
The side, for whatever reason, is much easier.
And we all have patterns of movement, and part of our yoga is examining those patterns of movement. Moving. Circling to the left is easier than the right, or vice versa. From a bigger circle, we're going to start to dial it back in. And back to center. Hands by our side. From here, let's go sideways. Or actually face the camera here. Let me do some side bends. Let's go nice and wide with our feet. Left hand by left hip, right hand high to the sky, equal weight in both feet. Doesn't matter what side really. And then back to center, we'll side bend the other way. So it's just sideways here, equal weight in both feet. And now we're going to start to shift the weight into the far foot as we jut the hip out any amount. You can start small. And then when you get used to the motion, let it get bigger. Coordinating with the breath, or keeping the breath free and easy. If you did choose to coordinate with the breath, we can inhale through center and exhale into the side bend. A couple more each way. And then the next time you're on one side or the other, doesn't matter what side, we'll hold. Shifting the weight a little bit more, jutting the hip out a little bit further. Feel the stretch. Whatever you're feeling, breathing into that sensation. Letting the breath bring you back, center. We'll find that side bend the other way. And then taking it further. As you shift more weight into that far foot, you jut that hip out a little bit more. If it's cool, on your neck, you can let the head hang. You can look off to the side or up towards that top hand. You might do all three. And then back to center. Hands by your side. Keeping those feet nice and wide. Hands in the air, or arms in the air like you either do or don't care. Thumb and forefinger of the left hand catch the right wrist. You can traction that right shoulder. And then starting to circle the shoulders to the left as we circle the hips to the right. Starting small. And then letting it get bigger. As we shift the weight between the feet. Adding a swing of the head, a sway of the neck. And from a bigger circle, we'll start to dial it back in. Moving back towards our center. And once you find that center, thumb and forefinger of the left hand, our right hand catch the left wrist, tractioning that left shoulder before we start. And then circling the shoulders to the right as we circle the hips to the left, starting small, right on that center. The axis mundi, crown of the head all the way out through your feet, and then starting to let it get bigger. Adding the head, adding the neck. Intuitive movement. What feels right and good for you. From a bigger circle, we'll start to dial it back in as we bring it towards center. And once you have your center, hands by your side. I'll ask you to go sideways cat. We'll do a very short standing sequence here. Let's step the left foot back and moving towards warrior one legs. So that right knee is bent, knee over heel in line with the toes. Lining up the two heels. With our hands on our hips, we can steer our hips front. 4 fingers find the tip of a thumb. We'll stretch out our wrists and try to touch the front of our wrists. And then starting just with the wrists, we'll find little circles. Now adding the elbows, adding the shoulders, inviting in more flow. From a bigger circle, starting to dial it back in, just the wrists. And then taking those wrists the other way, starting small. And then adding the elbows, adding the shoulders, inviting in more flow. From a bigger circle, starting to dial it in, just the wrists. And then 4 fingers leave the tip of a thumb, allow you to ripple those fingers. Stilling the fingers, thumbs find the shoulders, starting small, circling one shoulder front and then the other. And then when you get used to the motion, letting it get bigger. From a bigger circle, starting to dial it back in, moving back towards center. And then starting small, taking those shoulder circles the other way. And then letting it get bigger. Inviting in more flow. From a bigger circle, we'll start to dial it in, just the shoulders. And then relaxing those shoulders onto our ribs. Finding a clasp of the fingers behind the back of the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, elbows wide to the side. Keeping that, I'll invite you to stretch your hands out. From here, finding an isometric engagement as we press those palms together. Shoulders engaged, triceps engaged. Either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky. You might do all 3. And then we can surf those hands to the heart. And then hands find the hips. As we spin the back heel up and take a step in. Let's keep our legs active as we march it from side to side. Now grounded through both feet as we rock it from side to side. Finding your center. Rocking it front to back as we lift heels and lift toes. Connecting with our center of balance. 3 fingers below the navel. And then grounded through the heels, grounded through the toes as we rock it front to back. Finding our center. Now we'll find that warrior one on our second side as we step that right foot back. Bending the front knee. I know Facebook reverses things, so make sure you do both sides. Knee over heel and in line with the toes. With our hands on our hips, we can steer those hips front. We're not going to get there, but you want to feel that stretch in your low back. 4 fingers find the tip of a thumb, starting small as we circle those wrists. And then letting it get bigger. From a bigger circle, starting to dial it in, just the wrists. And then taking the circles the other way, starting just with the wrists. And then adding the elbows, adding the shoulders, inviting in more flow. Dialing it in, back to just the wrists. And then finding your center. 4 fingers leave the tip of the thumb. Fingers relax as we ripple those fingers. Keeping our hands supple. That's it. And now stilling the fingers as thumbs find the shoulders. Starting small as we circle one shoulder and then the other. And then letting it get bigger. Great place to do this. One leg forward, one leg back. We stabilize the low back. Almost like having your hands on your hips. From a bigger circle, starting to dial it in. And then taking it the other way, starting small. And then letting it get bigger. From a bigger circle, starting to dial it in. And relaxing those shoulders onto your ribs. Now walking the fingers one over for that other clasp as we press the head hard into the hands. Open heart, open throat, elbows wide to the side. Breathing into that space. And keeping heart and throat spacious as we stretch those hands high. Now finding isometric engagement as we press those palms together, choosing either to look down, off to the side, or up to the sky. You might try all three. And then bringing hands to the heart as hands find your hips. We spin that back heel up and take a step in. Awesome. Let's go down to a seat. We don't often do seated poses, but I just want to do some twists to end it out. So finding your seat. You can face camera. You want a pillow to sit on?
Yeah, it's awesome.
There you go. Of course. So cross-legged sit. Generally in yoga, the right leg's in a little bit closer, the left leg's a little farther out, at least to start. As we sit, pressing down into your sit bones, light and long through the spine. Let's find a twist to the left, and I know Facebook reverses things, so left hand down, right hand catches the outside of the thigh, staying grounded through both sit bones as we sit tall, and then finding your twist. Let the twist come from the ribs. Either looking forward, off to the side, or over that back shoulder. Letting a breath bring you through center. We'll find that twist the other way. Right hand down, left hand finds the thigh. Inhaling, growing your spine tall. And then finding your twist. Now coming back center, let's find a side bend each way. So we ground down through the left hand, right hand high. We can lift right sits bone up. Keep the hand where it is as we slide it back down. And then holding the stretch, I'll invite you just to let your head hang as we stretch out the top of the neck. Letting a breath bring you back center. We'll find that side bend the other way as we ground down through a hand, other hand tied. We lift that far sits bone up. Keep the hand where it is and just slide it back down. And then as we hold the side bend, just letting your head hang. Whatever you're feeling, breathing into those sensations. Letting a breath bring you back center. Fun one here. We can switch the cross of the legs. We can do a little bit of an abdominal exercise to do that. As you bring hands by hips, you want to lift your hips up, feel that, and then switch the legs.
I've always wanted to figure out how to do it, but I cheated.
It's all good. And we'll take a twist to the left. Inhaling, sitting up tall, and finding your twist. Let the twist come from the ribs. Letting a breath bring you back center. We'll find that twist the other way. Right hand down, left hand finds the thigh. Inhaling, growing the spine tall, and then finding your twist. Letting a breath bring you center. We'll find that side bend to the left. Right hand high, lifting far sits bone up. Let that sits bone slide back down, and then as we hold the stretch, just let your head hang. Coming back through center. Right hand down, left hand high, lifting left sits bone up. Keep the hand where it is, just slide it back down. And then let that head hang. Coming back up center, hands by our hips one more time here. We're going to lift those hips up. Feel that core engagement. And then switching the legs. As we hold the stretch, hands on our knees, pulling back with the hands to settle the shoulders. Pressing into your sits bones to lift the kidneys in and up. Long through all sides of the neck with a soft tuck of the chin. I'll invite you to bring one hand onto your heart, the other hand on top. Ending our practice listening and feeling as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bow as you thank yourself for practicing yoga.
And as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world, the light within us honors and respects the light within you. And in this light, we are one. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Kathy, for a fun half-hour practice.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
We'll see who joined us. All right. Welcome, Tammy. And as always, namaste. Have a nice day. Yes. Enjoy the new year.
Hi, Tammy.
And enjoy the dry day if you're here in the Bay Area.